Recording in progress.
Good morning, members.
Good morning.
Notice, can I get an indication whether we are correcting or not? Then you flight the agenda.
Morning, Chair and honorable members. No, Chair, we don't yet have a quorum. There's only 3 members on the platform. It's yourself, Honorable Bath, and Honorable Matikizela.
Let's wait for the next 15 minutes. Maybe we must get an assistant from G to try and call other members if they can log in. The meeting does not need a lot. You only need to have 2 adopt the strategic planning session document. Can you assist us, support staff, in trying to locate other members, please? Then we'll resume, let's remind each other at 9:15.
Chair, good morning. Will do so. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. I'll be back at 9:15. Thank you.
No,
Yes, Chair.
are we still not correcting?
Chair, the meeting can carry on because we have at least 1/3 of the members in the according to Rule 162. So the meeting can carry on. However, when it comes to a point where the meeting has to make a decision about the report and minutes, we need 50+1, which is the majority of the committee. So, as it were, the meeting can still carry on until a point where that committee has to make a decision, and we'll see whether other members are coming in at that point. So currently, we have 4 members on the platform. I know Honorable Bath said he'd come back into the platform when the committee resumes. Thanks, Chair.
What you are saying is that we don't have 50+1. We cannot just carry on because of there's 1/3. We need 50+1. The agenda is not too long. I was thinking that we need to be a bit quicker. I know it's a day of traveling. I don't know whether Mankos has sent an apology or she's traveling. We need to get that. Let's try and wait for another 10 minutes, then we'll take it from there. Apologies for those members who are in the platform. Let me also try to get other members.
Okay, Chairperson, we are good now. Honorable Litlap and Honorable Bath have just joined the platform. The meeting can carry on.
Are you confirming that we have 50+1?
Yes, Chair, we've got 6 members out of 11 that are on the platform. Thank you.
Okay, can you flag the agenda?
I'm trying to fly the agenda, Chair. I don't know what's going on with my system. Let me go back to it. I need to close it and on again.
While you're trying to do that, good morning once again, honorable members, and everybody on the platform. Let me take this opportunity and apologize for calling you in a short notice and try to appreciate those who managed to join us because it was a very short notice. The purpose of this meeting is for us to adopt the strategic planning session document that we need to submit to Parliament. With these few words, without wasting much, I know it's Friday. Friday is the day of traveling in most members. As Africans, we've got umgidi, weddings and events and even funerals. So I want to say I'm aware and don't want to take much of your time to do what you have been planned for long. With these few words, I want to officially declare this meeting open and then move to the next item, which is the adoption of the agenda. And I will have to get an indication from your good self members to adopt the agenda. Can I get an indication by a show of hands? What?
Happy to adopt?
The second, I saw the hands of Matikizela.
Yes, Chair. I second.
Is there anyone who has a contrary view? In the absence of none, let me move to the next item, which is apologies. Nels, can you give us apologies?
Thanks, Chair. We've got 3 apologies, 3 3 apologies from the members of the Portfolio Committee. Honorable Dlelanga is unable to join because he's with another Portfolio Committee that has already started at 8. That also goes the same with Honorable Kobe. The other apology that we have is from Honorable Ngumalo. He is unable to attend because he's busy with funeral arrangements. Thank you, Chair. Oh, the Honorable Dlelanga is now just logging in at this point. Thanks, Chair.
No, it's fine. Let me move and request members to accept the apologies or reject them? Can I get an
Sorry, Chair,
indication?
sorry,
Okay.
Honorable Chairperson, apologies for interrupting you. Honorable Litlape has just also sent an apology as I was getting done speaking. Thank you.
She's moving out of a meeting, or what? Because she's still here? Or she'll
She's in
request
another
to
meeting.
early?
Yes. Yeah, she said she's in another meeting, but she'll just log into our meeting.
We don't want just log in, Letlape. It's a document, the strategic plan document that we had for 2 days. We don't just want to log in, we want participation, but it's fine. Let me move to the next item, which is matters arising. But Nola, I'll suggest you swap the items. We go straight to this consideration and adoption of the strategic plan of 2024 to 2029. Can we jump to that? Then we'll come back to the tracking of resolutions. Over to your good self.
Thanks, Chair. At this point, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Mr. Denison, to go through the strat plan. I'll only chip in at the tail end where we have to deal with budget projections for the year 2025-2026. Shoaib, do you want me to flight it for you, or are you okay with flighting?
Good morning, everyone. No, it's fine. I'll flight it. Give me a few seconds. I don't have sharing, Nola.
You actually do. You're the co-host.
Oh, I'm the host. Okay, that's great. Okay, there it is. Good morning, Chairperson, colleagues, and members. I made a few changes to what was sent to you. It's mostly corrections, such as annexure that I took out and put the name of the committee, so that we can own this as our plan, rather than saying committees, template, etc. What is in front of you is your product from your discussion over the last 2 days, 4th and 5th September. And it reflects the foreword by the chairperson, which is similar to what we have discussed in terms of what plans are, what policies are, and how they fit into the legislative frame. And the main issue of 2 tasks that the committee has, which is making laws and overseeing the executive's action by scrutinizing its plans, programs, and budgets. I'm not going to stay there very long because we discussed that, and we did discuss its link with the National Development Plan, but we also reflected on the fact that this is not our first strategic gathering. We had this gathering with the School of Government and School of Construction, Economics and Management at WITS, not at WITS, but of WITS, on the 8th and 9th of October 2024. This is important because it is part of what Parliament's saying about capacity building of members in order to do oversight and make laws in the 7th Parliament. The table of contents is self-evident. Again, here we're not going to say much. In front of you is, as we discussed, the mandate as well of Parliament. So the mandate of the committee and that of Parliament will be the same, because the committee is a committee of the National Assembly. It reports to the National Assembly and does work on behalf of the National Assembly. When we consider and adopt something, it very often goes to the National Assembly for its acceptance or rejection thereof. So Parliament's priorities inform our oversight work. And here we notice the link with the NDP outcomes. The 5 outcomes that Parliament want to reach: effective oversight, addressing recommendations for effective oversight. That practically speaks to the resolutions tracker of this committee: anchoring a stakeholder and partnership plan, business transformation to operational excellence, and repairing and upgrading Parliament's infrastructure. This committee is involved in every single one of those 5. The situational analysis is there as the plans, regulation, white papers, and structures of the committee, of the department and the entities. The white papers are stated there, as well as the entities that we do oversight over. Members may recall the orange and black PowerPoint in the very first meeting that we had, where we also gave a sector analysis, which is much fuller than what you see in front of you. Strategic objectives of making laws. The highlighted in blue speaks to the fact that this is a living document. It's not set in stone. It's amendable and will be amended. If the department or the entities make a change anywhere, we will adjust to ensure that we can focus on the adjustments that they made. That also refers to money, the budget adjustments, etc., that we will make adjustments to ensure that we do oversight over the right stuff. Let me just see what yeah, okay. What I was just looking at was this matter of concurrent functions. No, it's not an error. But this matter of concurrent functions, as in the Constitution, Schedule 4, Part A, but also Schedules 4 and 5, Parts B of each schedule, that refers to public works as a concurrent function of all 3 spheres, which means that our oversight practically covers municipalities and provincial departments of public works as well. And so when there's a min-mec, we need to be able to see what comes out of that min-mec, which is the reason why we had DDG Mtombeni to speak to the intergovernmental relations cooperation that he and his team manages. There's been a min-mec just now this week where the Deputy President joined the Minister and provincial MECs, as well as I think some of the municipal representatives from some of the municipalities. I actually think it was in Cape Town, I'm not certain. Priorities and outcomes to achieve. If you state priorities, such as the 5 that we referred to of parliaments, then you have to see how you what your outcomes are going to be to tick off that you actually achieved them. And so these priorities in yellow here, these 3, will appear later on in a table so that you can see the stuff that you raised as queries and questions, or what you raised as members as strategic matters that require attention over the 5 years, 4 years, how they link to the priority of strengthening oversight, enhancing legislative processes and public involvement, and improving public appointments and international engagements. Now, just to say that this committee does not do bullet 3. It does not have oversight over the appointment of board members or entities, CEOs, or any of those things. Other committees do have that. International engagement, if the National Assembly gives you that duty to look at a particular engagement, That's what I meant by the adjustment, that we will then adjust and look at an international engagement. P20 is here. If there's a public works and infrastructure matter, you may pick it up and bring it into this program, into this strategic plan. The outcomes to achieve the above is improve effectiveness, impactful lawmaking, responsive and accountable executive authorities, and meaningful, adequate participation, and then enhancing member capacity. We're hitting all 5 of it, and you'll see how it appears. Now, 10.1 might have confused a few people. At first glance, it looks confusing, but if you look carefully at it, it is not. When we look at capacity of the PMTE, these are things that members raised as problems that they require to be part of the strategic plan. You raised it from the first day, but specifically the second day, members raised it very, very, very sharply. And members raised issues of capacity, collecting debt, taking control of immovable assets. And there's at least 2 members that mentioned this issue of immovable assets. And both of them, it boils down to how do you ensure that this department and PMTE take control of government properties and buildings to such a degree that it is providing functional accommodation to every department, to such a degree that the immovable assets assists and builds on the public good by sweating that asset. The 2 members are Honorable Kobe and the KZN Honorable Bath. The one spoke about sweating the assets, the other one spoke about public assets for public good. And a number of members raised concern about hijacked buildings and construction projects. The maintenance backlog, the issue of lease management. And those 2 come together into we must increase, maintain, increase the value of our properties and buildings, and maintain the value by properly painting, maintaining, fixing small errors and small problems. I keep thinking of the embassy in Germany that has a leak that they cannot fix because the German mark is so much higher than the rand, and so they struggle to do that on that side. But there's another example of international issues. The implementation of Giyama. Members, the problem with maintenance is that the department sets an extremely low number of user immovable asset and custodian immovable asset plans. Every building should have those plans. And some will have one, some will have the other, and you won't really have 2 of them. But the point is that it sets out, according to that law, who should do what when whatever goes wrong, to what value as well. And so the fact that they set such a low target means that the buildings just deteriorate rather than improve, and that therefore the value does not improve, and then your public asset for public good as a theme or as a strategic goal cannot be reached. The arrows point lower down to how collecting debt links with the public works bill, how taking control of immovable assets, that's curvy one, goes to the public works bill. The reason is that when you are going to do your lawmaking, when that bill is put in front of you, as members, you raise these as your problems, you should see to it that there is a section in that bill that addresses collecting debt. Because you've noticed departments do not pay debt owed to the PMTE. PMTE's overdraft keeps growing, so why do you not put a section in there that gives them teeth to collect their debt? That's part of taking control of immovable assets and part of using the law to but to address a problem and a challenge. Increasing and maintaining the value while creating job opportunities, goes with 10.17, around sweating the value and increasing the value. The same with Giyama. Public asset for public good has also got to do with addressing the trust deficit. The issue of a responsive government is a constitutional imperative. It's a constitutional imperative for every single sphere of government. You cannot be in a municipality and not be responsive to the needs of the people of the local community. You must respond if they complain about air quality and water quality. And so this department must also be responsive if the Department of Home Affairs at one of the border posts say their officials suffer from heat stroke because they have to stand outside and there's no shade covering, or the ablution facilities are not adequate for them. So that issue of the trust deficit and responsive and impactful oversight of the portfolio committee and the link with public assets for public good. You can also see how some of these can also feature in the Public Works Bill, but one has to note that there's also a review of the Giyama. So sometimes you will have to decide where what goes. The issue of reaching growth as an outcome, growth as in economic growth, that is a target in the NDP. It's not only the NDP, but it's also a national treasury matter and Department of Trade, Industry and Competition matter. And then of course you can see it's a CIDB matter as well, where emerging contractors from previously disadvantaged communities as well as vulnerable sectors of our society must reap benefits. And these are benefits such as they need to move from on the contractors register. They need to be able to graduate to the higher levels rather than just remaining between 1 and 4 or 1 and 5 grades. EPWP 5, what came out very strongly was this matter of the politicization of EPWP. It's a matter that requires addressing, and again, I did not put the arrow there. And by the way, these arrows are not going to stay here, they're going to come out. So when you adopt, you will keep in mind the links that I try to make. Because the draft 1 and draft 2, I think draft 2, not 1, will have these arrows there, and it's therefore a working document that you can refer to. But remember, if this gets published, those arrows there might not work, and therefore we can. But the depoliticization of EPWP is an important one. The matter of politics and politicians overstepping into the administration is critical for our country. If we're not getting that right, we are going to destroy the country. We're going to destroy the legal framework, and we are not going to be able to get anywhere. You're going to stagnate. Politics have its place, and it is there to give political management and political guidance around policy. But it is not there to say to officials, break a law just so that I can impress a particular community or a particular stakeholder group. It should not happen. It has happened and it is happening, and that should be removed from governance and government. So, and the law does have standards and norms around this. There is an EPWP norms and standard framework. Some municipalities implement it, others ignore it. The question to you is, as members, how do you say we should ensure compliance to the standard and norms? Now, in the case of municipalities, there are, I can't get to the word, but here it is. There are codes of conduct in the Systems Act, I think, at the back. It moved from the Structures to the Systems Act, but they are there and they are quite definitive and specific about who does what and where the line should be drawn. And in the case of municipalities, it is there because municipalities are both the political as well as the administrative hub on its own. It's not separated. So committees do oversight over the executive inside. So it's both executive authority as well as the administrative authority. So the other one is the issue of, and then of course, incentives or hard rules. Do you build something in where people gain and therefore they want to do it gain, or you can think of an incentive grant or something, or is it hard constraint, a hard rule? In other words, almost like section 2162 of the Constitution that says that Treasury is allowed to stop a grant payout if a municipality or province does not adhere to the rule. So it depends. We can speak about that and ensure that in this public word you put something like 10.2.1 speaks about the certification, the changes that is required for EPWP to be more beneficial to beneficiaries. Cannot have a situation of people doing EPWP work and working in projects for years on end, and they are not able to graduate into the formal economy because the certification is of a low quality. And then, of course, the issue of relevant training, some aspects that require fast tracking, and some matters to standardize. I'm not going to speak to the amendment bill of CBE and CIDB and the infrastructure development amendment bill. Those were presented to us the other day, and members are aware of those. This table that we have here, as members, you need to decide whether you want to keep it like this here. What we tried to do was to say, these are the issues that you raised. This is the priority. This is what it would look like if it's a priority that you agree to. And the yellow that will come out, all these colors will come out for printing purposes. But it's highlighted here so that you can see how it links. My apologies. How it links to the, I'm just paging up, strategic priorities of Parliament and of the committee. I think it's useful if we have it like this, because what members can do as time progresses and as things change, you would obviously reach the priority and then remove it. Or if you don't reach it and you're particularly weak in it, feel that you're not hitting it, then you can strengthen it by raising the question or the issue in a different way. But clearly, in some instances here, it's strengthening oversight through impactful lawmaking. In others, it's just enhancing public involvement or just strengthening oversight. But in others, strengthening oversight and enhancing public involvement go hand in hand, and we try to point that out in this table as well. This matter, this is why I highlighted the matter earlier on. It's a critical matter because the department is a coordinating department, which then makes the committee that oversees this department a coordinating committee. However, the office of the Speaker and the office of the House Chair does not designate, or we should rather say the National Assembly does not designate that status to this committee. The problem is the Infrastructure Development Act that needs to be amended so that there is recognition of the role that this committee plays across the national, provincial, and local government spheres. And that you work, now I can't recall where this is, but I'll probably find it just now, that you work with sister committees that I listed somewhere here. And therefore, the request for oversight to particular sites should be treated differently than what it is currently treated. And so there's this constitutional imperative evident in your committee. And it's because the committee's name is no longer Public Works. It is Public Works and Infrastructure. That touches on Schedules 4A and 5A. And therefore, the strengthening oversight is about coordinating collaborative oversight across executive authorities in the three spheres. A significant matter that Dr. Joint raised of ESA was the coordinating function of ESA, which then feeds into this coordinating function here of the committee that should coordinate collaborative oversight with other committees. But of course, it will be strengthened as we adjust that law. My apologies. I have an infection that is messing me up. The point is made here again, and I'm somebody who do not have a problem with repeating things, because repetition, and you'll notice the repetition is not exactly the same, but it's there for a strategic reason. This is your strategic plan. People must see this as a coordinating committee, and therefore, and it's not just because we want to coordinate and be paramount or any, it's not that. It's been assigned to the department that is coordinating across government, and therefore your committee need to be recognized like that. By the way, the recognition that we're talking about here is a recognition that requires the National Assembly to actually speak to the name and the assignation in the ATC so that it is official. This issue of capacitation, I mentioned here that you as a committee require capacitation, particularly around the oversight and accountability model, monitoring and evaluation, and governance, functioning of boards, etc. And that is critical also for your futures, your individual futures, to understand governance and be busy in boards, because life doesn't just stay and stop with you as an MP, but the experience you gather here and the capacities that you gain here should be broader and take you into the future as a contributor to society. Now, what we refer to under that is that of the King governance, King report on governance. I think it's the 5th iteration this year. And I think members need to discuss getting training in the King 3, so my apologies, the King 5 report. I said with the King 3. And I think the training with the Institute of Directors of South Africa, you need to speak to Parliament about that and get yourself trained in that direction. Because of the IDT matter around trusts and how we reconfigure the IDT, as well as the PMTE and ESA, of course. So what is on page 13 to 15, to the top of 15, under challenges related to oversight over the executive authority of public works and infrastructure and the entities that have consistently emerged. We're referring here to matters that repeatedly appear third and fourth Parliament right through to currently. And these are matters such as the use of consultants, Your organogram says you must have so many people per branch, engineers or whatever in the department. And then let's take legal services. The department has a legal service division or legal service branch, sub-branch. But when it makes laws, it doesn't draft those laws on its own. It actually goes to legal consultants to do it at a cost to the fiscus. It's a matter that has been raised a lot, and not just with legal, but with other matters like engineering and professional services. The issue of courts, the issue of prestige, dual maintenance of SAPs, home affairs, even defense at border crossings and ports. This requires specialized oversight work. Now, we did not discuss specialized oversight work in this strategic session enough. We couldn't. We needed a follow-up with the WITS School of Construction Management, because it is critical that when you speak about construction projects and you speak about construction project management, if those professionals use certain terms, you as members must know where that fits strategically. It is critical, and it is something that your specialized oversight work, you cannot claim to be a coordinating committee over a number of spheres and you do not have that specialized knowledge. This is the bullet right here that refers to why it is that you need to be seen as a coordinating committee. The issue of leadership, I mentioned to members, because I've been linked to the department for so long, that I'm aware of how bad a vacuum, no, I'm aware of the effect of a leadership vacuum on a department and its entities. We've had that in this department for many years and some of its entities. I think the IDT to me is one of those right now. And that bullet speaks to that matter that carries on for years. And then oversight over infrastructure, this bullet and its sub-bullet speaks to that. The next one speaks to ESA, and here this one speaks to PMTE, and the others also to the CBE and the CIDB. Those might be hit and not fixed, but it might be addressed, apologies, by the amendment to the public works. Just to say that this matter of the PFMA regulation 16 for triple Ps, there's been on 25 February 25, I think, but let's say February 2025, this year, in other words, the National Treasury announced changes to this regulation for national and provincial departments, but not for municipalities. And that is significant because it does affect larger infrastructure projects that take place within municipal areas and in, my apologies, and affects their IDPs. And the last bullet, of course, speaking to outstanding legislation, which we say will happen. The incompleteness of the construction policy research branch in terms of experience, that matter is still there, and we will see evidence of it when the bills arrive and you start making the laws. Summary of outstanding issues relating to the department and entities. These are later things than the ones that I just went through that you have to take note of. And some of the matters, what I did here was to refer to the stakeholder, the sector responsible, and then some of the project stuff there or the issues there. The matter of this thing keeps coming up. I remember in the 4th Parliament, a member asking about contracts and payment of service providers on time, 30-day payment of service providers? And the answer was, we are going to address it by putting in, renewing our Sage and Archibus, and huge cost was incurred with very little result. So all of these here, you can
As
see.
you wrap up, Shape.
Yes, ma'am. It's the last page, I think. So all of these are covered in that way, and you can see some of your oversight matters outstanding there. So what we did here under your strategic goals and strategic objectives, everything flows from your strategic goals, as we mentioned upstairs there. Upstairs meaning the pages further up. And yeah, and these are the strategic objectives that we identified from the discussions. They just basically repeated. Some of this here can be ticked off. We just need to tick it. We don't need to say, put words in, but they just get ticked as the baseline, and then it will influence how we do in the rest of the medium-term expenditure framework period. And the rest are the same, including the legislation, etc. Chair, I will hand over to Nola to just take us through the expenditure items. And again, 25, 26 will be the baseline for the intermediate periods. Thank you. Nola?
Thanks, Shoaib. Can you please click focus for me so that we can see it properly?
Focus.
Just at the bottom of the page, there's focus.
I see it. There we go.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. While working through the agenda, you'd note that we're working backwards because ordinarily a strat planning session would have been done at the very beginning of the term, so would have been able to plan forward from the inception of the 7th Parliament until the end of the first financial year. However, we're finding ourselves in this situation, and we had to make do with it. So the projections that you see here, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, are just basically based on what has already transpired and what we're looking into doing in the near future as the portfolio committee. So in terms of the entertainment, we haven't budgeted anything unless the chairperson would want to allocate something there. In an event there's any celebration that has to be made for one of our honorable members or the committee in its entirety. Gifts, plants, flowers, and other decorations, this is usually utilized by the chairperson in an event. You would have noticed, honorable members, if there's a member that's not well, there'd be sent flowers and all of those things. That's where that's the line item that caters for those things. So we've just really budgeted like 5,000 rands for that, because that doesn't cost as much. And this is only speaking to April 2025 until March 2026. In terms of accommodation, we've budgeted for 442,500, and this is mainly because we have already noted a trend with the previous events that have that the committee has attended, and also in taking into account the oversight visits that have been taken. So with oversight visits, Honorable Chairperson, we've looked into about 3 within this financial year, noting that we've already done 1. So perhaps if the committee wants to do 2 more, we've just projected that amount for that reason. Conference venue hire, noting that we have a shortage of venues within Parliament. We've already started on spending on this line item, and with that first meeting, we've spent about 33,000 rands, if not 35, just a round figure. So we've just basically used a figure of 40,000 rands and taken about 5 out of 20 meetings that probably the committee will have between April 2025 and March 2026. So that's why that amount of 200,000 has been allocated. Mileage claims, this applies to members who would, like Honorable Ngumalo, who drive from Mnambithi to either Johannesburg to catch a flight to East London or wherever the case may be. That's why we've allocated those amounts there. S&T, that also applies for oversight visits, events that the committee would attend and things like that. So that's why we've allocated 91,000 rands. As I said, Chairperson, all those amounts are based on projections, based on what has already transpired and how we are looking forward into the future. Travel affairs domestically will also apply to oversight visits as well as events that the committee attends. That's why we've allocated about 700,000 rands. Vehicle hire domestically, this would apply for mainly in event where it's only the Honorable Chairperson and one other member, or just the Honorable Chairperson that attends an event. So we'd need to hire a vehicle just specifically for her, or if the delegation is about 2 people or less. Shuttle services are mainly hired for a bigger number of people when we attend our events. So that's why we've allocated about 100,000, because that's where really the chunk of our travel amounts go to. So this is in the main in Cape Town. Therefore, that's why we've allocated 100,000, because that'll cater for members being ferried from the parks to the venues that would have hired for meetings that are outside of Parliament. Then we have the domestic shuttle. That is what we utilize for oversight visits and events when you're traveling outside of Cape Town. Then for catering in-house, in each and every meeting, honorable members, we work at a figure of 4.4 for catering for about 40 people. That includes the honorable members of the committee, the support personnel, the department, and any other person who would have attended our meeting. So it's 4.4 per meeting. So then we worked at a figure of about 20 meetings. That gives us 660,000 rands. So most of these projections of this budget, actually, Chairperson, we've already spent on. And so recently we were allocated another 3 million rands to move between August, to utilize between August and March 2026. So, Chair, because the committee has also indicated that we would want to embark on a study tour, so that's why we've also put those projections over there. These are based on the previous study tour that was undertaken, and of course adding on the CPI, and it also depends on which country we are visiting, because the S&T, if you notice, the S&T, we just allocated 250,000 just in an event when there's one study tour would be undertaken. Also, as I'm saying, the S&T is calculated per country, per currency, so we can't entirely have a precise figure for that. But as I said, projections in their own nature. Projections in their own nature are assumptions, are based on assumptions. So that goes with the accommodation, shuttle services, and travel affairs. With travel affairs, we've also allocated an amount of 600,000 rands, and we're also working at a figure of 7 members attending, because the House Chair is very strict in terms of not allowing the entire committee to go through to study tours. So we've just really worked on a figure of 7 members, which is based on the previous approval that we had when the committee went to Singapore. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. And we're looking at an amount of 5.6 million for this financial year. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Knowles. Honorable members, there are the presentations. Bear in mind, we were supposed to have a physical meeting, and I'm aware that the mini plenaries have started, but in the midst of that, we have applied. Chair of Chairs has approved our physical meeting, so that's why we took an advantage to say, let's log in, and we're not going to take much. I want to advise members that if there are anything that they'll need to be changed, feel free to forward it to our support staff by writing, but now is the time for you to engage. You are only having 7 minutes to engage. Now it's 10:05. Can I get an indication by a show of hands if there are any clarity-seeking questions and further discussions that you want to do, or addition on the 2 presentation financials as well? Can I get an indication from your good selves? In the absence of none, I guess, members, you are fine with the 2 documents. Can I move for an adoption of that? can we adopt the document as a true reflection of what we've discussed for the past 2 days that we had? Honorable members are not okay. I think Mankos is attempted to agree. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
In that order,
Oh.
it's fine. I agree. It's Mankos, Sibon, Matikizela, and Kelange.
Thank you very much, Chair. Greetings to your good self, the members, everybody present in the platform. Chair, I move for the adoption of the two reports presented before us. Thank you.
Matikizela.
Chair, maybe before I adopt a clarity-seeking question on the last presentation. It is my understanding that the committee's budget is 3 million. How are we planning to get the extra money to meet the needs of the committee's budget?
Why are you raising that in terms of the template? Have you seen there's an over more than 3 million in terms of the budget? Can you try to be clear on your question so that when they respond, will be responded accordingly? Yes, there's 3 million. I want to confirm that according to the template. Can you try and give us more meat on your question?
No, yes, Chair, because if the overall budget, I think it's 5.6 million in terms of what is presented here by Nola. And that is why I'm asking, how are we planning to augment the shortfall if the budget that is presented stands at over 5 million, and yet the committee's budget is 3 million?
No, as you said, it's a projection. Can you clarify it very quicker before I go back?
Yes, very quickly, Chairperson. I think Honorable Matikizela didn't understand when I clearly stipulated that the amounts are based, one, on projections, two, we are working backwards and forwards because this is money that we've already spent. There's already been an oversight visit to the Eastern Cape, so that forms part of that one budget because unfortunately we've had to state some budget for and project from beginning of 2025-26 financial year. So this is from April 2025 until March 2026. So this means even the activities that have already spent on are included on that amount. This was before we were allocated the 3 million rands from August this year until March 2026. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Matikizela, are you fine?
Not there. I'm not fine. I mean, it would have been better for me than Nola to say this is the projection, and I get what you're saying, that some of the money has been spent, but it would be more clearer to me if you said where we are now, this is what we have spent from this projection, even if it's a projection, and this is how much we have, and this is how much we will need in order to cover the overall, suggested budget. I'm not sure if I make sense, but for me that's not what has been spent already has not been presented.
Chairperson, can I come in?
Let me assure you, Honorable Matikizela, that we don't have any other source of revenue that we are saying will depend on. It's only if we had to go and attend events and we are donated to by this, or we get sponsored, and it will be subject to the approval of the Speaker. In Parliament, we just don't wake up and say, someone will pay for me. And you must remember, even when you do your disclosure, your declarations, you must declare. So I want you to understand that for now, there's no way, there's no any other funder, anyone that we can talk of, but just to manage our budget according to what we have for now. That is the only response I can give to you, and we'll have to engage it further. Maybe at the later stage, if you are fine with it, or if you want to pursue the question, Honorable Madikizela. It is important, yes, for us and even the media to understand that we don't just take funding. It must be subjected and be approved to what we'll disclose and say this is our sponsorship. Remember, we are an oversight. We play an oversight. We are not allowed to take bribes. And mostly, if you do take bribes, or a sponsorship, it looks like you have been bribed. But before I could move to Tlenange, Matikizela, can you come in and try to give me an understanding that you understand what I'm trying to say?
No, Chair, I hear you, and I think I must state it up front. There's no ulterior motive from my side by asking this question. I'm really asking it from a position of ignorance. I mean, I think as a new member in this committee, I think, Nola, what would have been clearer for me, you've given the overall projection in terms of the budget. That is why I'm saying it would have been better to understand where are we now in terms of what has been spent and what is outstanding and what is a shortfall in terms of where we want to be in terms of what has been presented. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and you need not to start to do a self-intro. You are correct. Let me just take this opportunity and say, based on the time, and we want 2 members to get into plenaries as well, we'll request Nola to prepare that. But it does not stop us to move for an adoption. For that, it's for you. You need to understand better, because the budget is for us. It's for portfolio. It's not for an individual. I hope the way I'm summing it up, it sits well with you.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Matikizela. Dlelange? Honorable Mluleki Dlelange, I see your hand.
He's talking, Chair, on the plenary already. He's on the platform. So I don't think he'll participate here.
Mama Kasi, I was on the item that requested for an adoption. We had a mover, and I'm requesting for a second.
Thank you, Chair. I can second the mover on and adopt. Thank you.
Can I get an indication on a contract review with the same agenda item? In the absence of none, I can tell you we have duly considered and adopted this item. Now, can you indicate the next one?
The next one is the consideration and adoption of the minutes of the 9th of September, as well as the 17th of September. Chair, the minutes were already sent to members. Thank you.
Then you go through them, present them. You might not read them line by line, but present them. As you've said, members already have them. Those 2 sets, you can present them to the members.
Okay, as I try to share them, Chair, there's a lot of documents that are open on my side. Let me just quickly check where is which. Illustrated plan, financial projections, 19. Okay, minutes, here we go. Right, Chair, the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 9th of, no, man, this is 9 July. This is supposed to be 9 September. But this was IAR and I'll fix that error, Chair. IAR and the immovable the telecom towers issue, where that would have been members that attended, Honorable Matikizela from the DA, and then the rest of the members were available, apart from a few apologies from Honorable Bath, Mkhize Letlape, Honorable Thring, and Honorable Makasi. Chair, if I may, there were discussions around the IAR, and then on the issue of telecom towers, the committee rejected the report, citing that the members what members needed was basically the forensic report, not the actual presentation that was submitted. And then there was an adoption of the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 16th of July, and a resolution was taken that a meeting of the committee where the telecom towers forensics report will be presented to the committee would have to sit. The proposed date was Monday, the 15th of September, but that could not happen due to parliamentary program issues. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Now, today is the minutes, honorable members. Can I get an indication, matters arising? Any rectification? Mankosi?
No, thank you very much, Chair. I think what is read by Nola is a true reflection, Chair. I just want to check because we're supposed to get this report on the 15th due to the fact that, due to the reason that Nola is stating now. When are we going to get that report? But other than that, teacher, the minutes are correct as what you have said on that day. Thank you.
I don't know whether Nola you have that respond, but I think it forms part of what is arising. It's a resolution that has been taken from that meeting, and it's part of tracking of resolution. Nola, do you have a response on that? Are we getting a signal from the department when? If not, just indicate not yet.
Chair, the resolution of the committee was that the committee must convene a meeting by the 15th of September, which did not happen because we were not given an undertaking to convene that meeting to try and make sure that members are available. Also noting that it was a constituency day, so we just were not given a mandate to do so by either the MENCO, because the MENCO didn't sit between the day of the meeting and the date that was proposed. So from the department side, we had given them 7 days to submit that report, but it hasn't come through as yet. Thank you, Chair.
Mankosi, with that response, the issue is that even the department told us and gave us their dates, their availability. It does not even fall on the Monday that you have we have resolved on. As she says, she will further sit as a MANCO and reconsider and try to balance between ourselves and the ministry. That will be my response, and I want to call for a second of the minute as we have moved for an adoption. Can I get an indication for a seconder?
I second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matikizela. And is there any contrary view? In the absence of none, Nola, can you present the second set?
Thanks, Chair. The second set of minutes are the minutes that were held of the meeting that was held on the 17th of September at the Southern Sun Cape Town Hotel. Where the committee got a briefing from the DPWI and the CBE on the outcomes of the George Collapse forensic report and the outstanding legislation. That then, Chair, would be the attendance register. So both presentations were held. In the main, Chair, regarding the apologies, the committee had a lengthy discussion regarding the absence of the minister, and therefore there was a resolution to that effect that was taken that the committee should then undertake to lodge a formal complaint regarding the absence of the minister to the Speaker of the Assembly by the 19th of September 2025. And Chair, if I may, the letter was sent through to the Speaker's office yesterday with the discussions and consultation through the discussions and consultation with the chairperson. And based on the initial letter that was sent in May to the Speaker, so this one was also a follow-up, and we also endeavored to include the leader of government business as we were advised through the legal opinion that we got from Parliament in February 2025, when the initial complaint regarding the absence of the minister was held or was submitted. And then the other resolution, Chair, indicated that another meeting wherein the George Building Collapse Forensic Report would be interrogated must be held during the fourth term of 2025, as we know that today is the last day of this term. And then stakeholders that must appear before the committee would include the DOL, DHS, DHA, SAPS, the George Municipal Council, the NHBRC, AGRIMA, CBE, and the CIDB. And lastly, Chair, the committee also should embark on an oversight visit to George during the fourth term of 2025 to get an in-depth understanding of what transpired leading to the collapse and therefore establish what was or who was responsible thereof. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Knowles. Members, there's your minutes of Wednesday. Can I get an indication? Honorable Matikizan.
Chair, I think what is missing from the minutes as well is that we suggested to have a joint PCs meeting with other committees. So Nola only mentioned the departments, I mean the entities, not the PCs.
Yes. Knowles, can you include the joint meetings with the relevant portfolios on the minute? Any other matter as I call for an adoption of those minutes? Honorable members, I'm calling for an adoption of those minutes.
I adopt, Chair. I move for adoption, sorry.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder?
I second, Chair, with the addition made. Thank you.
Thank you, Mankosi. Do you have a contrary view on the secondment? In the absence of none, the minute has been duly adopted. Knowles, can we move to the next item, which I believe is the last one?
Yes, Chair, the very last
Bearing
item.
in mind that members are multitasking, I've noticed they are trying their all best to switch between the two plenary and our meeting.
Yes,
Can you
Chairperson,
present
the last item is your closure. But before you close, Chair, I just need to highlight to members that the next term will begin on the 6th of October. So what we've done is because we don't yet have a framework from the National Assembly Programming Committee, and neither do we have focus areas from the House Chair, which are the two overarching documents to our planning program. So what we've tried to do was to just create a framework of how the first week would look like, knowing that we are supposed to be processing BRRR's budgetary review and recommendations reports during that time. So we've scheduled that first week and blocked it out for BRRR related presentations, starting with the Office of the Auditor General, the Department PMTE, as well as its entities from Tuesday until Thursday. Thank you, Chair.
Also, while before you could go there, we have skipped the tracking of resolution. Can you deal with that? And in the before you could present that, give us an indication whether we've sent a document. We're still waiting to be lined up in plenary for the oversight visit that you have done earlier this year to be presented in plenary or to be debated in plenary. Can I get that indication while you are doing? You'll get to the tracking of resolutions.
Chair, I thought I've already dealt with the tracking of resolutions when I was dealing with the minutes of the 17th, because I zoomed into the resolutions, because those are basically what appears on the resolutions tracker. I'm not sure. I don't follow your question about the oversight report that's going to be debated in the plenary. I'm not sure I follow. Please clarify on.
Okay. We need to, that's why I'm saying I'm checking with you. When you come back from oversight, you must then bring a report to the National Assembly. Have we done that before we could undergo another oversight?
Chair, which oversight visit are we referring to? Are we referring to the Eastern Cape one?
I think the one that I was not present.
Yes, that was long done. That was adopted by the committee ages ago. I think it must have been just as soon as we got back from the
Is it
from the
tabled
first
in
term,
the
in the
National
second term.
Assembly?
It was tabled. Chair, immediately when the committee adopts a report, we submit it and publish it on the ATC for publication. Then what happens after that becomes a responsibility of the NA table. We don't get involved in that one.
No, thank you. Honorable members, in the absence of any other item, I want to take this opportunity and release you to focus on the mini plenaries as part of our responsibility and declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.